Hi class, welcome to another distance learning lesson. We're going to learn about rotations today. So again, copy this whole thing down. Make sure that you take this thing seriously also. It's not just there for you to learn Chinese. That's not my goal. My goal is for you to use this to think about the FLT. So words from the FLT should be going in here. Alright, and I'm going to move on in 3, 2, 1, 0. So by now the expectation is you've already done this all, copied everything, and then did the FLT Chinese word of the day. So 90度 means 90 degrees. You might have noticed, hey look, here's these things. So maybe that's why I chose 90. By the way, if you add 90 and add 90 and add 90, you get those. So just take note of that. Alright, let's move on. If you need this again, so just go back to it. So let's check out these things. And let's try to rotate this point. Sorry, that's 1, 2. We're going to rotate 1, 2 by 90, 80, 270, and 360. So let's take this point, let's rotate it. If we rotate it here, let's see, what is the new coordinate? New coordinate is -2, 1. Alright, let's rotate it again, see what we get. So it should be here. So that's going to be, let's see, -1, -2. So now both are negative. Alright. Let's check the next one. So if you haven't noticed yet, I specifically designed this thing so that when I rotate, it's going to go to those specific numbers. So this is going to be 2, -1. And a final rotation, let's look at what we get. So this is our 360. Notice that we get back to the original point. So it's just itself again. So let's analyze what in the world just happened. So if we go 90 degrees, let's look at the pattern here. We have 1, 2, and then -2, 1. So let's first just look at the numbers. What happened? Well, the 2 is first now. So the y value is first. Then the 1 is second. So that means the x value is now second. Then the y value also turned negative. Okay, so we have that. So now let's see what happens if we go 180 degrees. So original is 1, 2, then we'll get -1, -2. So it's still x, y, but now they're both negative. And now let's check what happens when we go 270. So we have 2, -1. So the x and the y switch again. This time, the x turns negative. And an xy, when we go 360, they just stay the same. So if you've ever heard the phrase, we've gone full circle or come full circle, that's where that comes from. That means you go back to where you came from. Alright, so look at that pattern, copy that down if you need to. Pause the video. I'm going to move on in 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, so here we have a few points, and I want you to first find the new points, and then we're going to graph the rotation. So here's the original, and then we're going to rotate by 270. So we're going to always rotate counterclockwise unless I tell you otherwise. In math, counterclockwise, that's just a normal way that we rotate things. The reason is basically if you take advanced physics later on, you'll see exactly why. By advanced, I mostly just mean if you do honors or AP. I'm not sure if they'll show that in regular or explain that in regular, but maybe. Alright, I'm going to give you some time to write down the points here. So pause the video and I'm going to assume you did this in 3, 2, 1, 0. So let's find those points. We get 0, 2. Then we get 1, 4. Then we get 4, 2. And then 3, 1. Okay, so let's think. We have 270. What is the pattern for that? So this is one of the ones where x and y switch. And this time it's x's turn to become negative. So let's get the new points. So let's just write those down switched first. So the y stays the same, but now the x changes to negative. So the 0, I mean, there's no negative 0, it's just 0. Then these all become negative. So we have found the new points. Now let's graph it. So 2, 0, 4, negative 1, 2, negative 4, 1, negative 3. So A prime, B prime, C prime, and D prime. And there we have it. All right, next one. If you need this, pause, copy, move on. Great. Now let's look at this one. I'm going to give you some time again to get the points down. So I'm going to assume you did that in 3, 2, 1, 0. So this to check, you should have gotten 2, 1, 4, 1, and 4, negative, what is that, 3? Yeah, negative 3. Alright, so we're going to rotate by 90 degrees. So go ahead and look at your table there to look at what was the pattern for 90. I'm going to move on in 3, 2, 1, 0. So this is also one of the ones where x and y switch. This time it's y that is negative. Okay, so we get PQR primes. So now, first thing, I find it easiest to first just switch the points so that you only do one thing at once. Alright, so now the y is going to be negative. So since this was originally negative, doing negative to it will make it positive. Great, now let's plot this. Negative 1, 2. Negative 1, 4. And then we have 3, 4. Okay, so looking at this, you might think it looks a little bit strange. Like, why did it go that way? I mean, if we really think about it, let's take this, for example. And then I'm going to rotate that point. So let me just get that right there real quick. And then if I rotate that 90 degrees, that's going to bring it over this way. If you want to also see, I can do this on all of them actually. By the way, if you can already see this and you don't need this, you can skip to whatever the next part is so that you can see the problems for the I do section. But if you want to also just like see this, like, oh look, what happens if you actually do all that, it's actually kind of cool. Feel free. So if I rotate this whole thing, notice that the points are going to perfectly be all over there. So yeah, we got that rotation there. Great. Okay. So here's your you-do section. This is the part that I want you to do on your own, and then send this over to me. So hope you enjoyed this somewhat new format. I'm trying to make things not ridiculously long, so I want to be under 15 minutes. Ideally 10, but this time obviously went a bit over. All right, have a good day, everybody.